All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is lifting. So there's a few things I want to cover with proper lifting technique, but one of the things I really want to emphasize for people is I have more people come in to see me for back pain from lifting too much than from doing exercise. So for the most part, I don't expect these exercises to give you any trouble. The one thing I do want to cover with lifting though is proper technique, because as you get stronger and do things with proper technique, your likelihood of injuring yourself while lifting goes down. And that's really important to keep in mind, because we want to make sure that the body is capable of lifting some of the things that you need to do on a daily basis. And that's really the main goal of doing things properly, with this being a part of the exercise program. So the way we can start this, we can put a box, you can use a milk crate, you could use an empty laundry basket and then put clothes inside the laundry basket to add weight. You can really use anything. You can use a milk jug itself and just lift that up off the surface of a counter. But we can start there at the counter. If this is too easy, we'll talk about ways that we can modify it here in a minute. But basically, we want to engage those core muscles. We talked about that with some of the other exercises. We want those muscles to be engaged. And basically, we just want to lift this up and then lift it, place it back down. You can hold it for a period of time. You can do repetitions, lots of different ways you can modify this. But this is obviously the easiest place to start. Now, what I would like to do, I'm gonna move this shelf, going from a little lower surface. You really want to emphasize back position. So we always hear people talk about bend with your knees and your legs. Really what I want to emphasize is back position more than how much you're bending through your knees. Mainly because a lot of people don't do that, either because their knees bother them, they have some weakness in their legs, but we really want to focus on proper position through the spine and through the hips when we're doing lifting. So the emphasis really is keeping the back straight and doing what we call a hip hinge. So that is just bending through the hips. Even if you're not squatting down and bending through the legs, as long as you're keeping the back nice and stable, those core muscles engaged, and keeping the hips where that bend comes from, that's a safe lift. And that's really how most people are able to lift the amount of weight that they need to at home. So when you're doing that, again, core nice and engaged, keeping your back straight, and then you're just going to lift up, and you're going to set back down. And you can do that for reps, or you can do that for time, kind of like we've talked about with some of these other exercises. And then going back all the way to the floor, again, focusing on back position, going down, keeping the back straight, nice hip hinge. You're going to have some bend through your knees, obviously, and then you're going to lift up and come back down. The key is going to be using the appropriate amount of weight at first and then building up. You can start at the higher surface with a light weight, add weight. As that gets easier, you can lower the surface and then kind of repeat until you're able to get things up off the floor with proper technique without causing too much stress to your back, because those muscles are nice and strong from the repetitive exercise and the hips are doing things properly. So that's really the objective with the lifting, and what I wanted to cover is just proper technique there. We'll talk a little bit more here in a minute about ways to increase that intensity and how you can do that for time as part of a cycle of exercise.